We have some more urgent business here today, so thank you. It's so great to see all you committed San Franciscans join us for our launch party for Vision SF to take back our beautiful city. Thank you so much. So I'm going to make just a few opening remarks. My name is David Talbot. I'm the author of Season of the Witch. And thank you. And a reluctant activist dragged out of my study because, well, all the reasons you're here. So my book actually was a celebration of San Francisco values and all the hard struggle that went into those values, creating those values back in the 1960s and 70s and 80s. And of course, those values were values of diversity, of social justice, creativity, and a shared sense that we're all in this together. Those values, though, are being challenged more than ever, as we know today. Is it a San Francisco value to evict a family from the home they've lived in for years, so the landlord can exploit the skyrocketing real estate prices? Is it a San Francisco value to build more luxury condos in the Mission when we desperately need affordable housing? Is it a San Francisco value to turn a neighborhood into a transient hotel with Airbnb strangers, replacing the San Franciscans who can't find a place to live? No. Is it a San Francisco value to kick kids out of their neighborhood playground so some entitled people can take their field? No. Is it a San Francisco value for bus drivers who work night and day for the billion-dollar tech companies to be paid so little that they're forced to sleep in their own cars? No. No, I agree with you. And I think we have a consensus. That's why we're all here today. San Francisco, the city of dreamers, of artists, of rebels, of visionaries, it's becoming a place of greed and selfishness. But that's not who we are. That's not who San Francisco is. We're the city of St. Francis, the city that takes care of its own, including its poor, its needy, its helpless. This is the city that gave birth to Allen Ginsberg's Howl and to the Beats, and to the San Francisco Sound and the Summer of Love, and to Harvey Milk and Gay Liberation, and yes, to many of the tech innovations that are revolutionizing our world. We have vision and we have heart, and together we can save this city's soul. Today we have a wonderful lineup of speakers and entertainers who all love this city just as much as we do, and that's why they're here tonight with us on stage. We're going to be talking about the crucial housing measures that are on the ballot this November. And there are tables out in the lobby where you can inform yourself more about these measures. We all have to fight and join those campaigns and make sure that those measures get passed in November, because that will send a huge signal to the powers that be in the city, that we're not dead, that we're still alive and we're fighting back. You know, we may not have the money, but we have the beauty and the passion and the art and the vision on our side, and we're going to win. Tom, you here?
Been evicted.
Well, start working your way up here, Tom. As you do, former Assemblyman Tom Amiano, everybody. So one quick story. Tom does not remember this, I'm sure, but many years ago, not that many, when I was a young reporter for a community newspaper, I interviewed Tom when he was a school teacher. And I just found him so dynamic a character and so funny, I thought, this guy could be a stand-up comic or a politician. And he took my advice. Tom Amiano.
The nicest thing he ever said
about me is that he's a politician who is intentionally funny, so, as we know. Well, I'm here to thank you, the organizers, and mostly the spirit of what this is really all about. And I know things can get demoralizing. You know, I've been around a long time, and I've seen things go in not recognized, but then become a dynamic in San Francisco. You know, I was on the board of supervisors. First of all, you know, I worked under Frank Jordan, who was like being there. I don't know if you ever saw that. You know, what? Frank, what? And then Willie Brown, loved it. So I know Willie Brown has said, and I think this encapsulates it in terms of being a male. Anyway, I'm talking about the dick that's in politics, and it still requires a lot of pushing back. Willie Brown said that the true legacy of a mayor is bricks and mortar. So what does that tell you? It's buildings, it's development, and there's so much more to San Francisco. And I don't know what it is with these guys, you know, with buildings and phallic shit, but I think we're tired of it, and I think they need to be called out. Not a size queen. And then there was the lovely Gavin Newsom, who had this ability to appropriate issues. You know, he would wait until the dragon was slain, and then be a photo op, and he'd come out and go, I killed this dragon. I did Healthy San Francisco. I did this and I did that. Yeah, he got rid of the 49ers too. So, yeah. All right. But my point is, so I was on the board with, you know, Chris Daly and Aaron Peskin and Jake McGoldrick and John Avalos eventually, and even a few, you know, what I call dinos, you know, Democrats in name only, which we have a majority of on the Board of Supervisors now. Absolutely. And we should look at who's enabling those people. And you might be surprised to find some of those people at some of your rallies. Why are they endorsing people who are against the moratorium, who are for Airbnb? I like to call it Airbnb Day because we're such a queer city. But why not? Look at that, because we don't want to rot from the inside. We do want the unity that's required. We can put aside a lot of personal differences. But we should look carefully at those of us who identify as progressive, the left, whatever, not enabling, even if it's unconscious, people who are out to destroy the heart and soul of San Francisco. So when I was on that board of supervisors with those other supervisors, you know, we fought, we had a lot of disputes, a lot of dysfunction, but I don't know, we incubated ideas, and they flew, and we put them out there, and you know, maybe they didn't win at one time, or maybe they didn't get adopted, but there was something there that showed that we were not the Stepford Board of Supervisors. And I think, you know, we have to look carefully about how we're going to change that dynamic. I heard some political strategy around gun control. And what's being put out there is maybe become single issue for a couple of electoral cycles. So if you have somebody who maybe votes a couple of ways that you like, but on gun control they don't vote for them. And I think that's something we should savor and consider. Where was I going to go? Well, here's the deal. Like you, I'm sick of the circle jerk that's happening in San Francisco. You know, the mayor, Ron Conway, the fucking Chronicle. Does it ever stop, the Chronicle? No. So we work our way around it, and we knock on doors for those propositions that are on, and for Aaron Peskin, and for Tom Temprano. We knock on those doors. I've seen elections lose because in certain precincts, the last 5 voters didn't get to vote for some reason. So now it's crunch time. It's not sexy. It's marching up hills. It's telling your neighbors who are annoying. It's going up to the Germans who are across the street from my house in an Airbnb, bitching because there's no skiing. It's called a drought. So, we have it. We are a progressive city, but we can't sugarcoat it. A lot of the contributions of San Francisco have come from our diversity, from our demographics of high people, high population of people of color, and people land right, when you pay attention to them. And if there's only 4% of our population that's African American, then we need to do something about it, and we need to stop going to the self-appointed leaders of the African American community who have been around since dirt and still sell them out, boys and girls. Go to the people, go to the schools, talk to the people in the housing project. They'll tell you what's wrong, and they'll tell you what the solutions are, and not to fill their pockets either. I am writing a book about San Francisco, and I'm going to write a chapter about my political experiences. It's called Tales of the Crypt. But thank you all again.
Tom Amiano, thank you, Tom. Hero. Christina is going to come back to introduce some people, but I'm going to tell you a little story. Speaking of Ron Conway, our local Donald Trump, the bully billionaire who seems to think he owns the city. We were going to show a preview or a clip from Alexandra Pelosi's documentary for HBO. San Francisco 2.0. It's already been shown on TV. How many people have seen that? So, nothing shocking for us here in San Francisco, but a good introduction to some of the problems and traumas that are afflicting the city right now. Well, Alexandra is back east. She couldn't make it today, but her sister was going to come. I got a call shortly before the program today saying that wasn't going to happen, because Ron Conway, throwing his weight around again, has intimidated HBO. So we're not going to hear from Christine Pelosi. That's, again, the kind of arrogance, the kind of bullying that we've had enough of, I think, right? So instead of seeing that clip from San Francisco 2.0, we're going to go to our next speaker. And Christina, yes, here you go.
Well, unfortunately, Tom stole my speech, so let's see what I can do here. And before I start, I just want to say that as the director of a tenants' rights organization in San Francisco right now, I am tired of evictions. I'm tired of displacement.
Really?
I'm tired of watching people being priced out of our city. But you know what? I'm not tired in a I'm gonna lie down and curl up, kind of way. I'm tired in a we are gonna fight this shit kind of way. I'm tired in a no way are we gonna sit back and continue to let this happen kind of way. So I really want to thank the founders of Vision SF for putting this together and for basically carrying out that spirit. And thanks for having me speak as well. So San Francisco is no longer the place many of us come to know and love. For so long we've known this to be a city with progressive values, diverse communities, a vibrant art scene. A city that was a welcoming refuge to queers and immigrants, not to mention assorted punks and hippies and miscellaneous freaks of all kinds. And the activism was reliable. We were renowned for being a city where people would take to the streets at a moment's notice when injustice reared its ugly head. So much so that our city became a running joke for this kind of thing, of course. And this militance in the streets translated into solid progressive victories at the voting booth time and again. That's the San Francisco that drew me here 17 years ago. And by the way, Christine, I'm not that young, but we won't talk about that. I was before I started doing this work. And it's exactly what brought so many artists and activists and LGBT folks throughout time to this city. It's also what has led so many native-born and raised residents to stay in love with their city, rather than flee. That's just not going to happen in a lot of cities. I hear that's actually a thing where people want to go somewhere else. This keeps dropping, so I don't know if I'm... You're good, good. Okay. And now, as we've heard already, people talk about, we face a really different city. San Francisco has changed drastically in a very short period of time. Even Nancy Pelosi's daughter is lamenting this sad fact. So, today we have become a company town. Luxury housing construction plagues us like cancer. Evictions are at an all-time high, and rents have exceeded every other city. While we were once known internationally for our San Francisco values, we are now making news across the globe for our rampant evictions and our sky-high rents. People used to associate us with our parks and our cable cars, and now it's for our parklets and our Google buses. Is this the city we want to have?
I hate those parklets.
Hell no.
Those parklets suck.
So it's no wonder, given all that, if you're all feeling pretty defeated right about now, all of the wonders and joys of this amazing city seem to be outshadowed by unbridled corporate greed that has bought and sold City Hall at the expense of our communities and our neighborhoods. But after depressing you thoroughly here, I'm actually here to tell you the good news.
Abolish House Act!
We're working on it. I'm here to offer you an antidote to the defeatism that we're all so very prone to as more and more big tech money flows into our city. And our pleas to stand up to it falls on deaf ears at City Hall. Because that's what these ballot measures are really about. We couldn't make the change at City Hall. We couldn't produce the effect we need to immediately at City Hall right now, given this climate of corporate ownership of that building. So the good news is that there is something you, all of you, can do. There is something that we as a progressive movement can do to turn this around and bring us closer to the days of yore, when the city cared about all of its residents, when the word San Francisco values actually meant something. There are concrete steps we can all take to defend our neighborhoods, our communities, our homes, and our values. We don't have to lie down and take it. We don't have to accept defeat. And we certainly don't have to be isolated as we face this disastrous housing crisis. Is that right? So, let me go back for a minute to that old San Francisco that we all mourn right now. Remember when I said we had solid progressive victories at the ballot box? Well, what I didn't say is that those weren't easy victories. Well, sure, we prevailed a good deal. We had some truly amazing successes, like Prop M. I know Sue Hester's here, Calvin Welch, of course, the restricted office space development. Or even like in 2000, Tom Amiano, when a progressive slate of supervisors took back City Hall from Willie Brown and his cronies.
Yeah.
But these were hard-fought struggles, even when we did win. And throughout the history of progressive San Francisco, we're met with serious threats and a well-organized and resourced opposition. There were attacks on rent control repeatedly throughout those times. And downtown, let's face it, it's always been downtown. It took being out at bus stops, walking door to door, working the phones, and digging into our pockets each and every time. So now it's back to the good news. We can do it again! We have a tremendous opportunity. Yes, there's a crisis, but it's our job to turn that into opportunity. We have the tremendous opportunity this election to deliver a huge blow to the captains of industry who think they can own our city. More importantly, we can help quell the tidal wave of displacement, and we can bring some relief to those of us who wake up every day wondering if we will be next. We don't have a mayor's race where we can challenge our city's so-called moderate leadership, and Tom actually said the reality of that.
We do have a mayor's race. That's ridiculous.
And their corporate sponsors on the issues. But what we do have is propositions I, F, and J. These ballot measures together represent not just a critically important referendum on the state of the city, but will also bring concrete relief to those who are suffering in our city under the current regime. Winning on these measures will not only be a loud statement on the change the city so desperately needs, but it will reduce the pressure of the increasing economic inequality on real people and their families. So that's why it is our job to do this. Specifically, what will they do? Proposition I says no to the proliferation of luxury development in the Mission by mandating a pause in construction so that the community itself can plan for its future and the city has a fighting chance to acquire property, take it off the speculative market, and create affordable housing. Proposition F will stop the loss of more than 10,000 housing units from our rental housing market during this housing crisis. It's unacceptable that we have so many units being rented to tourists when we have residents who are so in need of homes. Proposition F will reduce evictions and conversion of rent-controlled units into Airbnb rentals, and it will prioritize housing our residents over our tourists. It will restore thousands of precious housing units back to the market at a time when we cannot afford to lose even one apartment or one room where someone could live. Now, what makes me, someone who has a reason to be to be one of the more jaded people in this town right now, think we can do it? I'm asked that all the time. Sarah, what makes you one of these people who it should be most jaded? Well, for one, despite all of my reflections on the past and my comparisons to where we are now as a city, I have been nothing but overwhelmingly inspired by the activism and organizing I have seen in the past 3 years alone to combat the housing crisis. That's what this town is right now. I've witnessed an anti-eviction movement like I've never seen before in this city, with a militancy that rivals the good old days, aka the 60s. I have watched more and more individuals come out of the woodwork and join the movement for tenants' rights. People have never before considered themselves activists or identified with the progressive movements, and I've seen some of those faces here today. Organizations of all stripes have galvanized to take on housing as one of their top issues. I've seen labor, senior organizations, disability rights organizations, all sorts of groups that weren't necessarily housing organizations in the past, pick up the mantle of tenants' rights and challenge development in this town right now. The Mission has a new sort of fire and a sense of unity that is incredible. The tremendous energy, sorry about that, in this city, working to take on the speculators and the developers, the tech industry and the real estate industry, and the constant downtown interest is blowing me away. We all have to remember that as we, look despairingly at the way our city is changing. So we need to all be part of that fight if we want to win. San Francisco has a lot of fight in it still. We all need to be part of it, and the great news is, the game is on!
Yeah!
You don't have to sit on the sidelines. You don't have to watch it on TV. You can get on the streets and pound the pavement with us and help make San Francisco values mean something again. So please, let's all get out there. If you care about evictions, if you care about displacement, if you care about the luxury development that's taking over our city, and if you care about your neighbors, your community, and your city, please get out there with us and help us get the voters to vote yes on Proposition I, yes on Proposition F, yes on Proposition J, and show the city, once again, that we are a city of progressive values, of progressive people, and whatever that term means, what it means to us is that we care about the future of our cities, and we will not let our neighbors be thrown out. of their homes. Thank you very much.
So when I saw the lineup, I knew that I had the luxury of not having to write a speech today because I was following Tom Amiano and Sarah Short, and Sarah, it just brought home to me again how deeply I regret that we failed to persuade you to run against Scott Wiener. You've done an amazing job in taking him on. I cannot believe that I have a supervisor who believes in Reaganomics and the trickle-down effect. Except, well, I guess he does believe in it because it's piss on the poor, isn't it? I'm pretty angry right now about what's happening to my city. But I also have to rely on what has kept me alive my entire life, and that's the movement. The movement saved my life, not figuratively, this isn't hyperbole. When I was a skinny, beat-up, defeated, suicidal teenager in Phoenix, I read about the movement in Life magazine. And I took the pills that I'd been stealing from my parents and hoarding for that day when I had my big exit strategy, and I flushed them down the toilet because the movement told me that my life had value and that there was a place for me. And that place was San Francisco. When my body was broken and my spirit was defeated and I was dying of AIDS, the movement stormed the NIH, confronted the federal government and the greedy pharmaceutical industry, and saved my life. I believe in the power of the movement. And I am old school. There is one movement. There's not a gay movement or a renters movement or a Black Lives Matter alone movement. It's all of us all together fighting the real enemies. And that is a big issue for us in this city because we're divided into our little bubbles. I went to the Black Trans Lives rally at Civic Center, and I looked around at the people that were in that crowd, mostly young and queer and people of color, and I thought, how many of you are even going to be able to live here a year from now? We have a huge fight against this. We cannot lapse into nostalgia. This can't be a movement about the city this used to be. As much as we remember it with fondness and excitement, it's gone. And we have to accept that reality, and we have to move forward with a vision for a future that includes all of our different kinds of people that have made this their home.